so excited by today's episode of the Digitize Fully Charged podcast. We are joined by Larisa Black, who's one of the co-founders of Edu Guardians. She is a virtual teacher, not an actual teacher. She has been an actual teacher, but she delivers all of her learning online for a publicly funded school in South Carolina. So you'll be able to hear all about how that job was created of virtual teacher, how it's funded. You'll be able to hear about Edu Guardians, about her time working with AI and delivering AI CPD to schools, and find out what's in store for Larisa next. I am delighted today to be joined by Niall, as always, and Larisa Black from Teachwise AI, Edu Guardians. Larisa, so many other things as well, actually. Could you just tell everyone about you, what you're up to, where you're at, where you're calling from today, because it's not Scotland.
It is not Scotland. I am in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We just started summer break last week with our last week for teachers, and we did graduation and all that fun stuff. So the past 9 years, I have taught virtually. I'm a science teacher, so I've taught physical science, I've taught environmental, I've taught earth science has been my baby for the past 5 years. So that really is what my big job was, teach the kids earth science, right?
Virtual teacher.
Virtually,
yes. We need to talk about this because this is not something that we're used to, certainly in the Scottish education system. I can see the need for it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Tell us a little bit more about that then. How did that come about? Is it commonplace? All these kind of things.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm originally from like the Syracuse, Utica, New York area, right? I moved to South Carolina about 11 years ago. And virtual school was not a thing up in New York unless you were going to college for it, right? So in my mind, when we moved here, I was like, okay, like if you want to do virtual school, you're going to be doing college courses. But we had a babysitter who would sometimes, she was like 9th, 10th grade. She would come and watch my kids when they were toddlers once in a while. And she said, oh yeah, I don't like go to actual school. I do school virtually. And I said, how? You're not in college yet? Like, I don't understand, cannot comprehend, right? And this was about 9 years ago. And she's like, it's virtual. It's kindergarten through 12th grade. It's called South Carolina Connections Academy. And actually, they're looking for a science teacher. And at the time, so like in between moving from New York to here, I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years, but I was ready to get back to teaching again.
Yeah.
And I had gone back to the brick and mortars for a small amount of time here in South Carolina. It was a huge difference though between New York because there's no unions here in South Carolina. And it was tough. My planning would be taken away by all of these different things. I wouldn't get home until 7:00 at night sometimes. And my mom was taking care of the kids during the day, like the long days. Mm-hmm. And I was like, she shouldn't have to do that. Like, I want to be home for my kids. I want a balance that is a good, family work life balance.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, teaching online, let me just apply and see. I applied. It was like 2 months and I didn't hear anything. So I thought to myself, well, that ship has sailed. Sure. But I finally did get that call in like April, which is the end of the school year, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, oh, wow, like they're still interviewing and they wanted someone to come on before the end of the school year so I could get trained and then start the next school year strong. So I made the big jump. I was like, I want to try something different. I want to try something new. And that's probably part of my personality of like being involved in AI is like, ooh, it's something different. It's something new. It's something like where the future is headed. So I'm willing to dive in and give it a try. Mm-hmm. So I did that and it was the best decision I've ever made. And again, this was pre-COVID. This was 9 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what was the kind of like technical setup? Like, what's the kind of delivery of your virtual courses like? How'd you do it?
Yeah, so we are Pearson School, and the curriculum is all Pearson curriculum.
Okay.
So the curriculum is set, and students can do their lessons asynchronously, but us as teachers are coming in, giving live lessons, teaching live on like a Zoom type platform. It's called
Yeah.
Class. It used to be Adobe, but now it's Class.
Sure.
And so we have that live lesson time. We also have one-on-one like tutoring sessions,
Yeah.
open office hours. We have tier 2 instruction where we invite like a small group of students who really need to go deeper into some of that information, where they're like, like they didn't really quite get it the first time in the whole group instruction. So
Yeah.
we're doing what we call MTSS. And so throughout the week, I'm not constantly in front of my computer on the video, but I am calling students, I'm grading, I'm creating resources.
Yep.
And I think that was part of the reason why it was pretty easy for me to start like my TikTok and Instagram and things like that, because I'm already doing it at work.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
already creating short videos and like explaining things in simplified ways.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why things kind of took off when I started TeachWise AI, was because I was able to break things down into those smaller chunks and in an easier way to learn, because I had been doing that already with my own students, right? With earth science.
Yeah.
So
Of
see
course.
your day, like your standard day, is that the same as a standard day in a classroom? Like, are you in from 9 till 3:30, or kind of the typical hours?
So
How does that
we
work?
can choose our times. It's either 7:30 to 3:30, 8 to 4, or 8:30 to 4:30.
Right.
We just let our students know, like through all of our communications,
Yeah.
what our office hours are, and
Yeah.
we are available during that time. They can sign up and they can book me. My calendar is open for them to, like, if they need a phone call, if they need a tutoring session, I am there, and that calendar is open to them. Of course, there are times where like some of my students might work because they're seniors, juniors, and seniors.
Yeah.
So there might be times where I have to make a phone call later at night. And there is some flexible time where they're like, okay, if you're going to take an hour off to go to a doctor's appointment or something, you can, use that. You can work that hour later at night.
That's fair.
But for the most part, it is like, this is your work day. And that is helpful because, my own kids go to school too. And, I need to be working while they're in school.
Yeah.
But the virtual, it's been a blessing for sure to have that option. My own kids did go to SCCA during COVID because I saw what was happening at the brick and mortars, and I was like, I understand. I would not be able to have transferred my skills that quickly either. Like, I give the teachers so much credit, but I knew the way that they were doing it was not sustainable.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not going to be good for my kids either. So I did transfer them over to South Carolina Connections Academy, and that was wonderful. I had to hire a learning coach to come in. So that cost me some money because I was still, working, and my husband was working.
Yeah.
So we both had to like decide to, we're going to invest some money into a learning coach. And that was a great experience too, because my kids got that one-on-one time. It was like having a tutor basically at all times and helping them through that content.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning kind of obviously you've got students that you're working with. Are they all in the same state as you are, or are they from like across the country? Are they in other countries?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a great question. So all of the students that I have are throughout the entire state of South Carolina. However, there is a national version of Connections Academy where it is worldwide, but that's not a charter school. So we're a charter school. We're a public school that is free to attend.
Amazing.
So yes, we are within just the state of South Carolina, and there are charter schools within other states where, like, if a student were to be attending South Carolina Connections Academy and needs to move to California, they could transfer to the California Connections Academy as well.
And see, the students that attend, do they suffer from anxiety generally going to bricks and mortar schools? Is there a kind of pattern in terms of the type of young people that attend a virtual school?
Yeah, that's another great question. So we find that students who have been bullied, who might have that severe anxiety, depression, are working and having to focus on their mental health or physical health. Some of our students are in and out of the hospital a fair amount. So this gives them the opportunity to still be able to attend school on
Love
their
it.
own time, when they're feeling well, when they're able to. And we do a lot of support to help these students in any way
Mhm.
that we can. But we also have students who are in like soccer academies where during the day
Yeah.
they're in an actual school for soccer or pro
Sure.
level tennis or whatever it is. So they're doing their academics at night, and that is available. Like they don't have to attend live lesson. We record all the live lessons so they can be watching them later if they can't attend. So it's a lot of flexibility that some students just really need because of what they're doing, in other realms of their lives a lot of times. And like I said,
Yeah.
some of them work during the day. They have to help pay bills, things like that.
Yeah, they could be caring for parents or anything,
Yeah.
couldn't they? Yeah.
How does that work when you have kind of child concerns then? If you're not seeing these students and young people in person, is there a disconnect there? Do you have somebody that goes in and kind of does checks on these young people, make sure that they're getting on okay? Is there that physical connection as well there?
Yeah. So our students do have to attend state testing in person.
Okay.
So that's one place that we do see them. We have different hubs throughout the state where they come, and those are definitely important for those kind of childcare checks.
Yeah.
We make sure that we talk to our students on at least bi-weekly basis. They have to make a synchronous phone call,
Sure.
talk to a teacher. And also we are definitely communicating with parents all the time. Like we have a lot of making sure that if the parents are not available, if they're not there, if we're not getting a hold of them, what's going on, what's happening?
Yeah.
And that's when the counselors have to get involved and other things. But
Sure.
that's a great question. Like, what do we do to make sure that students are safe?
Yeah,
It's absolutely fascinating that it's state funded. Like that's incredible, because I would say there's a massive problem with young people not attending school in the UK just now, and it's exacerbated by COVID, because that probably taught them that they didn't need to go to a school building. So I think, and the anxiety's been increased ever since, and actually there's nothing to meet their needs right now in the UK. There are a couple of fee-paying online schools that are gaining massive traction, but they're not affordable to the average person. So I think that's really interesting that there is a precedent here for state-funded online education. It's really, really interesting. The unions, the teaching unions in Scotland, are also hotly debating all of this right now. So we've been involved in some work where we were kind of coaching some staff in local authorities in Scotland to deliver more effective online learning. Because what we were finding is people are chucking a PDF into, Google Classroom or OneNote or something and thinking that's effective online learning. And you're like, that's actually worse than paper. So, so there was a need for that kind of enhanced like delivery and the pedagogy in terms of online. But there was a big fuss made by the teaching unions, and we had to not do our training anymore. So it was, I mean, I'm not naming any names here, but it's a controversial issue just now that the teaching unions are probably protecting teachers' jobs, or so they think. But actually, that for me, there's the question of meeting the needs of the young people, and I don't think we're doing that very well. Really interesting.
I agree with you. I think that meeting those needs, and the needs are going to change, just like we're seeing with AI. Like there is going to be a change. There's going to be a change of curriculum. There's going to be a change of what we actually assess in the future, because right now we focus on product.
Yeah.
But with AI, we're going to have to start focusing more on process, which we should have been doing to begin with. But this is the problem. Is like, if we don't see what the needs are and meet those needs, then what are we doing for our students? Like where are we setting them up for success in the future is the question.
So a big part of what you've been doing professionally in the last few years has been AI based, Teachwise AI. Tell us a bit about that. How did that come about?
So once ChatGPT came into the realm in
You're just
November of
like,
2022,
wow.
Yeah.
my mind was blown. I was
Mine
like,
too.
oh my gosh. I mean,
Same.
I'm tech savvy to a point, right? And I love technology. My father was an engineer and he used to bring home stuff, that was just fun to play with and
Yeah.
all of that. So I grew up with a computer. And again, I'm showing my age here, but like nobody else had computers at their houses growing
Yeah.
up. Like,
Sure.
when I was a kid in the 80s. And so I was able to kind of get excited about computers and technology and all of that because it was integrated into my life, right,
Yeah.
from a young age. So here comes ChatGPT in 2022, and I think to myself, oh my gosh, this is going to change everything.
Yeah.
This is going to change so much, right? Like,
Yeah.
think about the industrial revolution with machines coming in and doing blue collar worker jobs. Well, now this is the same thing for
Yeah.
white collar workers, right?
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we're going to see a huge shift in what our students need. So I just started playing with the tools. And, I think it was my niece was like, you should, like throw this up on TikTok, like do some quick TikToks. Like this might be fun today. And I was like, okay, like again, I mean, I teach online anyways. I'm used to recording myself explaining things like, okay. And then it just kind of grew. And I'm not saying like nothing went viral by any means, but it was just one of those things where people started noticing, people that I work with, people outside of work, and they're like, oh, I really like that video. And oh, that was really cool. I want to try that. And just using different AI tools. And then I've been, focused on that for so long since ChatGPT came out. I have seen the evolution of how quickly these tools evolve and change, and they have done like it's amazing. ChatGPT used to not be able to do math very well.
Yeah.
Now it's doing college level math. So this presents both opportunities and huge challenges, right?
Yeah.
So I, because of all of the things I was doing on the side, and also implementing with my own students, I was able to then like start doing professional development for teachers. And I was asked to, lead different things like this past year, the Institute of Erskine, the charter school district that I work for, they asked me to come in and run an AI club specifically for teachers and staff.
Amazing.
And so we did training the entire year for AI literacy, because we can't just expect our students to know how to use it ethically if we ourselves are not using it at all.
Yeah. In case somebody's listening along that hasn't really dived into AI much, what does using AI ethically mean? Like, is it morally? Is it using it for exams? What do you mean by ethically using AI?
I love that question, because what it might mean something different to someone else than it does to me. In education, like the best example I can give is, do not take the prompt from your teacher, copy and paste it into ChatGPT, and then whatever's written, take it and then bring it back and submit that, right? Like that's obviously unethical. However, if we're not telling students that that's unethical, then they might be like, well, it's doing it, like whatever. And I have seen where they're even copying and pasting where it says at the end, I hope this was good and you liked it, or like whatever it says at the end. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
That was obviously cheating.
What about the availability and accessibility of AI for young people, though? So I'm going to watch one of your videos on Instagram earlier, which was about Magic School and the kind of student features that are now. I mean, I haven't looked at Magic School for a little while, so I hadn't seen that.
Right.
Because things are changing so quickly; it's hard to keep abreast of everything. So,
it really
but that's really cool that there's like teaching about AI literacy built into that tool now, which is incredible. So what do you do in South Carolina in terms of student AI access? What's the deal?
Yeah, that's another issue that I came upon during AI Club. Like, some schools, even within our district, were blocking AI completely. So the teachers couldn't even access what I was trying to teach them. And I was like, okay, well, obviously we need to do this at home, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was one issue where, like, if you can't access it at work, how many people have the amount of like extra time to do it when they get home? Like, it's probably not going to happen.
No.
So I think that right now, South Carolina in general doesn't have something saying you have to have AI set up or you don't have to have AI.
Sure.
It's more like it depends on each individual school, how comfortable they are with the technology. And then there's some where they're like, we'll allow certain things, like they'll allow school AI or Magic School or Brisk, but they won't allow ChatGPT or Gemini. I think that's all going to change because now that ChatGPT and Gemini are coming out with more educational friendly versions.
Yeah.
It's also that they're like, it's becoming like that. I love the word ubiquitous, where it's just like everywhere because these integrations are now in every other tool, so we can't ignore it. There's going to be no choice. It's going to be like, well, it's in Google search now. How do we stop people using AI is going to be a bigger problem.
It's basically impossible to stop people from using it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the kids are going to have it on their phones. They're going to be using the ones that are on social media anyways.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm talking more about my high school students, right? But even the littler kids, like it's going to be integrated in every single way. So I figure, why not start learning about it? Why not start integrating it into your own lessons in small ways? And that's one thing I have found with training teachers is sometimes there's just that fear around it to begin with, because we hear on the news all of the things that are negative about it, which I agree. Like any technology, for example, the internet, right? Internet can be so wonderful in so many ways.
Yeah.
But it also can be so terrible and awful and dangerous. It depends on how we use it, right?
Sure.
So I feel like we do need to help shape and mold the future. So as teachers, like, okay, I understand the fear behind it. Let's talk about that first. Let's meet teachers where they are and then move forward from there. You know what I mean? Like, I if you've never used AI before, that's okay. Let's get started. Let's take a little step. And I think that that's kind of where some trainers get a little bit ahead of themselves, is they think that people, are at this point where they've been using ChatGPT for a long time, but that's not the case all the time. So I think we really need to be meeting teachers where they are.
Yeah, and actually, it's really kind of fascinating to me how educators, in my experience, certainly, and I don't know what this has been like for you, but in my experience, the way they've like welcomed, embraced, open-armed AI is quite startling to me when I compare it to other training I've done on other digital tools. And it's that ease of use, isn't it? It's that time save. It's actually helping.
It is.
And personalization as well. Instantly, you can put it into your own position. You can think about the lessons that you're going to be teaching, how to use it in a personal way. I think that's a massive key point.
How have you found people receiving it as you'd sort of deliver these sessions?
So I know let me give you a great example. The very first session I did about AI tools for teachers for Pearson Virtual Schools, like it was available to all Connections Academies throughout the country. When I started the session, we had maybe 80 people come in, right? And you're talking about thousands of people this is available to, right? And I'm like, okay, 80 is good. By the time I was done with that hour, there was close to 400 teachers there. And it's because they kept on messaging their teacher friends, being like, you need to get in here. You need to get in here. This is what we need right now. This is necessary. This is going to make your life easier. You're going to be more effective and efficient if you're using these tools. Like, these tools are specifically made for educators. They're user-friendly. They are what we need right now.
Yeah,
so that just in that one example, one of my very first PD sessions just blew up because it was it was needed, you
Yeah.
know, and teachers are willing and excited to use it when they are given the right tools.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had that happen when I'm delivering a Microsoft Teams
No.
training session.
Again, this was the very beginning of it all.
Yes.
It's fascinating, though,
So
isn't
I
it?
think you're right. Teachers, if they are given those tools that they need and they realize how AI is going to make their lives easier, they're going to jump in. Like, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
And that,
And one thing I did throughout AI Club from the beginning of the year to the end of the year is I gave a survey every single time we met
yeah,
at the end. And it was like, how do you feel about AI now? Like, how do you feel? And
Mhm.
it went, the trajectory, and I was hoping for this, and it did, went from like not loving it to, oh wow, like I'm using it on a daily basis now because it does make my life easier.
yeah. And then, do you know what? I've see since the image upgrade, you know, the image update that happened like a month or so back. Have you
Mhm.
tried remodeling your house? Have you tried taking a photograph of like your living room or something and asking
Yes.
for it to redecorate? This has been my
Yeah.
favorite thing to show people in the last couple of months.
Definitely. And I was talking to Aileen from the Edu Guardians too about that.
Yeah.
And she's a big gardener. And she's like, I did this for my garden. I can't wait to like use, you know. I was like, oh, my garden needs some of that too. Like, let me tell
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. It's so
Needs
cool.
an update.
I did it with a garden outside my office. We've got like a nice little office space, and the garden was just a bit, you know, that way in like March or April when the garden's just needing a little bit of a
Yeah.
spring clean. And it was like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And there was even an old abandoned rusty bike in the garden. And I took a photograph, put it into ChatGPT or something, and it even picked up the fact there was a rusty bike. And in the new design, it had attached the rusty bike to the wall and made an art feature of it. I was like, I love
That's
Oh,
it.
I
cool.
love
It
that.
was so
That's
cool.
clever.
Yeah, the things that I would never probably think of doing, right?
Yeah.
Like that, it gives you so many more options.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, going back to the ethical or unethical way of using it, like that is one of those things that I tell teachers and students, like use it as a brainstorming partner because
Yeah.
that's what it's really good at. And I feel like that's a very
Yeah.
ethical way of using it, instead of having it write your essay for you. Or another great way to use it is you write your essay, you put it through ChatGPT and be like, here's a rubric, like grade me on this
Yes.
and let me
Yeah.
see how I can do better. And, you know, everyone can be a great writer when they got a tutor right there.
See, that's the thing that I find really fascinating in terms of like, you know, cognitive understanding and learning, right? If you
Mhm.
just accept the first response, then okay, there's no great critical thinking going on there.
Yep.
But haven't you found yourself that there is very much a critical thinking experience that goes on if you're going back and forward with an AI? Like that
Most
must
definitely.
be about to have a big impact on our, you know, critical thinking skills, I would think.
Yeah.
But that's
I
not
agree.
what other people are saying. Other people are like, this is going to get rid of our ability to think critically. And I'm like, no, it's going to make it better, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how you use it, right?
Yeah, I know.
You
I know.
know, it's like, yeah, if you're using it just to copy and paste stuff over, you're getting rid of that cognitive load.
Exactly.
But, you know, and we got to ask ourselves, why are students using it this way? You know, I mean, I get that, like, sometimes you just want to play video games instead of doing your essay.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the problem is students are allowing ChatGPT to take their voice. So now they're, where's your voice going to be in a few years when you've done this for years now? You're going to have no voice, and ChatGPT has now taken it away.
Mhm.
So if they're using it in the wrong way, yes, but if they're using it the right way, like we have talked about, is enhancing you and your voice. So like you can use it in either way, either to enhance or to silence yourself.
Forgive me for not knowing about how this all started, but
Yeah,
but
yeah, another crazy story.
somehow you have hooked up with Aileen Wallace, who lives probably about 10 miles from where I live. And I'm like, how
I'm so
did that
jealous. I need to
happen?
meet both of you.
Yeah, it's a nice part of Scotland as well. You really should come for a visit.
I'm going to. It's on my bucket list for sure.
Well, tell us about
But yeah,
that.
it was okay. So let's see here. I got into the world of like AI and education and EdTech stuff, right? After ChatGPT came out. And then there were other people doing similar things where they're sharing their experiences, like very just authentically sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? That we're seeing with AI.
Yeah.
And Aileen was one of them, Christy Cloud, Farmer Fobs, and Heather Brown. And Christy had found this like Microsoft designer prompt about superheroes. And she knew, she's like, oh, who's going to do this with me? Like, and so she sent it, DM'd me, Aileen, Farmer Fobs, and Heather, and was like, hey guys, look at this, what I made. Like, I want you guys to do it too. And we just, out of fun and silliness, we just made our own superheroes, and then we all like shared them on X, right? So we're like sharing the, and then suddenly it just blew up, and people were like, how did you do this? I want to do it. I want to be a superhero. Like all of that. We're like, Christy, you need to share the Microsoft designer prompt. And so she did. And then we like to call ourselves as EduGuardians extra. And that means like we are going to take things to the next level at all times. And like we will just build on each other's extraness. And so we did. And it became like, hey, where do I sign up to be an EduGuardian? Like we created a name just for fun. And we're like, oh, we'll call ourselves the EduGuardians. Like everyone who's a superhero educator, you're an EduGuardian now. And then they're like, how do I sign up? How do I, like, is there a membership? And we're like, we were just doing this for fun. And we realized there's such a need for this fun, like silly community that also is focused on like progressing education and through EdTech tools and things like that. So we decided to just run with it. We're like, you know what? Let's just do it. And last year at ISTE, we had this huge trading card event where we made trading cards with our little, Edu character on it, our superhero. And it was so much fun. Like I have a book with it's like a Pokemon card book, with all of the different EduGuardians in there. And we're doing that again at ISTE again. We're going to be at the snorkel booth, and we'll have all the information sent out to anybody. So if anybody wants to become an EduGuardian now, there is a way to sign up. It's always free.
How do you
just go to eduguardian5.com, sign up there. You'll get an automatic email with the prompt, with the trading card template, with all of the fun stuff. So if you're an educator who loves to be extra, feel free to join us, because we're very open and just love sharing resources with each other.
Amazing. That's such fantastic. A brilliant community idea. EduGuardians.org, did you say? Eduguardian5.com. Oh, EduGuardian.
And we couldn't get EduGuardians with an S because it was already taken, so we used a 5 instead, because there's 5 of us original.
Nice.
So we're like, okay, EduGuardian5.com.
EduGuardian5.com. Sign up.
Or they can follow us at EduGuardian5 on any of the socials.
Brilliant. And we'll share the link in the show notes as well.
Yeah, we'll share.
Yeah, so I've learned so much from other EduGuardians. It has been amazing. And that includes AI stuff, right? Like anything with integrating AI. And I think that's what we need right now is a community where we're just sharing our successes and our failures and what we can do better and how we are going to shift education to integrate AI into it, because our students need to know how to use it. And like basically in any career they're going to have, they're going to use it in some way, shape, or form.
Did I see, Pam, did you share something today?
Yeah, from Google. Yeah. So Google's just announced, and I don't know if this is worldwide, it was certainly UK university students are now going to get access to Gemini Pro for free. And it's just a simple sign up.
That's in the US too.
Yeah. So basically higher education's really going to have a rethink about its assessment strategies, isn't it?
The biggest issues I see over and over again is that professors or teachers are using AI detectors
Yeah.
And AI detectors don't work.
No.
So I understand the want to use them because you want authentic work. You don't want to be grading AI work.
No.
But if they're not accurate and they're flagging students who might be have multiple languages that they know, or students who are on the spectrum, they're more likely to flag those students. So I feel like we are using a tool that is actually hurting rather than helping the situation.
Larisa, what is the coolest thing you've seen recently? Because actually, you know what? It's hard for all of us. Like, we all need this community, don't we, to keep up with what on earth is actually going on a weekly basis. So what's the coolest thing you've seen recently?
The one thing that still, and it's a little bit older now, but it still blows my mind, is Notebook LM's podcast feature.
Yes, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
And the fact that now you can interact with it. Like, I thought it was crazy that it was, cool that it sounded like two real people talking. But then they added the feature where you can actually interact with them too. And I was like, this is mind-boggling. This is crazy. So that is one of my favorite things. I will have to say the VEO3 videos from Google.
It looks amazing.
Creepy at that point, right? Like, this is, we don't know what's real anymore. That's we have to question everything. And that's another part of, integrating AI into education, is having the students really question what they're seeing and questioning, anything that's online now. They need to be critical thinkers for sure. And if you're not, you're just going to be falling into lots of scams and all of the things that I think, it's becoming more and more common to have scammers with, taking people's money, especially with the older generation. But I think it can easily happen to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, we've still not started to teach people about fake news and the spread of misinformation. And now we've got deepfakes. And it's just like, we've not even got the curriculum or the delivery of the kind of, misinformation piece. And now we've got deepfake videos. And we're like, it's so dangerous.
Mm-hmm. It is. And like, not all states here are teaching digital citizenship either, where how to interact online and how to be appropriate online and what you should or shouldn't do. Although the state of South Carolina just recently passed a bill saying that if you use deep fakes or any kind of inappropriate pictures of someone, you actually, it is a felony. Like, it is a felony. So we're the laws are starting to get there, but it's taking time. It's taking so much.
Because the tech's gone like that, and the legal system's still kind of struggling.
I'm like, can the tech just like chill for a second,
Just calm down, stop changing so quickly. We need to catch up. Yeah, absolutely. So you've just got a new job that I read. Is that right? How recently? It was quite recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, I actually haven't even started it yet. It is.
Wow, right.
Yes.
Great. So congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Yes. I will be the Innovation and Technology Coordinator for South Carolina Connections Academy. It's a brand new position because they see how desperately needed this is. And we are a virtual school. We were one of the first in the state. So we're innovative. We think differently. We are willing to meet those needs that maybe other places don't or aren't. And I'm excited. I get to help from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, AI integration at every level to start AI literacy, lessons to help teachers and support teachers with implementing this. So I am really looking forward to it. I'm also helping on the tech version too. Like, if people are having, to learn about how to use maybe school AI spaces or magic school rooms. I'm going to be there helping them through that.
Amazing. And that's what they need sometimes, isn't it? Just a little bit of virtual hand holding to
Yep.
let people know it's going to be okay.
Yep.
Right. And then, the professional development that I'll offer, I know like sometimes it's hard to take a whole hour out of your week, right? So I'm going to do kind of like what I do on TikTok, where little tiny
Just short.
bits and pieces
Yep.
of how to easily implement and help students along with their content and understanding the material, but doing it in a way that makes sense. And when AI is appropriate, we'll bring it in. And even though I'm very much an AI enthusiast, I understand it's not always something to bring in, and it's not always appropriate, right?
Of course.
Like we need to look at
Sure.
at what point should we bring it in, and at what point should we not.
We're all a bit geeky and we're all a bit nerdy, right? All of the people we speak to.
Always.
But
Yep.
what we've noticed is that everyone has something analog that they won't give up. And for me, it's a paper notebook. What's yours?
Yep.
Is that-
It's my favorite notebook. And I laugh so hard because I will be sitting in a meeting and, there'll be AI in the meeting, like take notes or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still want my own notes.
Yes.
I like to write things down because I like to have, I don't know, probably because of the way I grew up in the 80s to 90s. In order to learn, I was writing things down, right?
Yes.
So my brain is used to having that as a piece of my learning puzzle.
Yeah,
right?
like processing it almost, isn't
Yes,
it? Yeah.
Exactly. So I know that's how I learn best. So I will write things down. And also, you notice that was a list.
Yeah.
I need a list and I need to be able to write it down because I feel like I don't want to have to open my phone, get out my notes. Like the notebook is always here staring me in the face saying, hey, you need to do these things. Like, and then check marking, like it just makes me feel good. Like I'm like, yes, check mark. I did the thing. Yay, I get a sticker.
Do you know what I do? I take lots of notes in my many notebooks and probably just never look at them again.
And that's okay.
That's
There's
fine, isn't it?
wrong.
Yeah, I'm okay.
You're just getting the ideas out.
I'm all right with
Well,
it.
it's kind of like journaling, right? Journaling helps you to process, and that's a reason why people do it. They might never read their journals. They might never go back to it, but it is helpful in getting you through different things in life, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
My hobby, though, the thing that I love to do is photography. But I know that brings in technology still, right?
Yep.
It still brings in technology.
Unless you're an old school camera buff and you like a bit
That's true.
film reel now and then.
Yeah.
That's expensive. That's an expensive hobby right there.
Yes.
And as you can see, these are pictures in the back here.
Are they yours? Are they yours?
They are. Those are all mine. I took those.
Amazing.
And the one on top is my students' hands. We got to go to
I love that.
With a paleontologist on Folly Beach, and we found shark's teeth and lots of different fossils. And that was a picture I took of them from over top, all showing the fossils.
That's beautiful.
So like that's like a near and dear to my heart picture because my students, and I love that I'm going to be moving into this position to help the whole school, but I am going to miss having my own students. I've never not had my own students.
Yeah. Yeah, that leads us on really well to chatting about the future. So obviously you're in a position right now that I reckon a lot of schools and local authorities and councils and countries will kind of aim to be in maybe like 10 years time, possibly 10 years.
Hopefully sooner.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Where do you see education in those 10 years time? Because obviously you're quite far ahead of that curve. Where would you like to see us in 10 years time?
I would love to see more options for students, obviously. I think that being a charter school, obviously, we are one of the many options here in South Carolina. But I think it's important to give students the ability to have a flexible day.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there are so many other life experiences that they can do during that time. So I know that some of those schools that are the AI schools right now are doing 2 hours of content related work with the AI tutor. And then the rest of the time doing more like community projects and students being able to focus on things that they really love, their hobbies, things like that, which I think is kind of a good way of pushing it, but I don't love the way that they are advertising it. Like, this AI tutor is going to be the end all be all. It's going to be the magic, and they're going to be. That's not the way it's going to be. Like, that's not. So you're going to need those teachers in there. And I honestly can't see my own son being able to do 2 hours on the computer straight of tutoring. Like, if we could break that up, and allow, I think it's going to be more of a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah, sure.
So a hybrid system, you do some online work, you go and do something in person, you're collaborating with other students, because we know that is so needed right now. So I think it's not going to be about seat time anymore. Seat time is a big thing in the States, where you have to have those 180 days. And I don't know, I'm of the opinion that if I'm pulling my own children out to go to Disney World for a few days, they're learning a lot there, because there are so many good educational resources in Disney. And I know, like, not everyone can afford Disney. I'm not saying Disney is the future of education, but having life experiences, going to Yellowstone, going to, like, Mammoth Caverns, seeing the biggest cave in the world, like, those are important experiences, and our students shouldn't have to worry about seat time when they're doing those. That's my opinion, but I've always been of that opinion, because my father, who was a professor of engineering also, would be fine with taking us out of school to do a life experience. And in New York, it wasn't as big of a deal as here in South Carolina. In South Carolina, they really stick strong to the seat time thing. But what I love about our online school is that, seat time can be done at any time. So, like, what we call seat time is actually them completing their lessons. And so they can do that and then have those experiences. So I feel like the future of education is going to be a combination of a more flexible schedule,
hopefully, and hopefully equitable too, because one of the things you said there was that not everyone can afford to go to Disney, but wouldn't it be great if the kind of money we saved, because it's not going to be as expensive if we're introducing virtual flexibility, and if we're innovative and creative about how we deliver, then the optimist in me feels like, well, we should use those savings to benefit the young people who need more support financially or with physical teaching. Wouldn't that be good?
How does that work as well with equitable devices as well? So obviously, if all your students are online, do you give out a device to the students and Wi-Fi connection, or is there an expectation on them to provide their own device? And then have you got some students with fantastic devices and others with ones that maybe aren't needing a wee refresh? How does that work?
That is an issue. I'm not gonna lie, that's an issue. Now, here in South Carolina, if someone cannot afford a computer, we will send it to them. So we do have that. In other states, the funding is slightly different in every state.
Yeah, it's the same.
So in some states, every single student gets a computer from the Connections Academy. In our state, they will get it if they need it. And then some students might not need it because they have, like you said, a nice computer at home already or whatever. But that is an issue that we really need to be on board with throughout the entire United States and other countries too. How do we make technology equitable, right? Like, because Wi-Fi can be expensive, right? And you need Wi-Fi. And so during like when we had COVID money, right? The COVID money that came on after COVID, we were giving hotspots and things like that. Well, now a lot of these funds are going away, so that is going to hit hard so it's going to be a continuous fight. I feel like making sure that equitability is something we focus on, and especially as education changes, right?
And what's funding like? What's like state funding for education? Like, I guess that varies per state as well.
Yeah, it does. It varies per state. Not every state has charter school options like we do here in South Carolina. We have more, but we just had a bill go through recently where they decided charter schools are going to get less money than they did last year. So this is hard. So now we're getting rid of some of the choices because not all schools are going to be able to survive that. So it's going to be a tough road ahead, I think. But I'm here for it. I know you guys are too. We're going to fight the good fight.
We are. We're all fighting the good fight.
That's right.
where can people find? Do you have a website yourself? What's your social media handles?
Yeah, so my social media handle is Teachwise AI, and if anybody wants to get a hold of me, I do professional development for teachers. I do
Great.
keynote speaking, all that good stuff, and they can find out on teachwiseai.com. So I'm trying to keep it as simple
Right.
as possible, like to
Yep.
find me, right?
Great.
Across
great,
the board.
Great, great.
Although I did have someone reach out to me at the beginning when I started my website and said, "Can I have your name?" Because like I created this thing, and I was like, you can't just have my name. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. Like,
You got in there
not
quickly.
offering me any money, not
No.
offering no, can I just have it?
I love that. So listen, it's been
I
absolutely
was to say,
great.
thank you guys so much.
I've
Yeah,
loved our
no,
chat.
thank you.
I've loved our chat. It's been so good. It's
Yeah.
it's your energy is amazing. I've just
Thank
loved
you. Right
chatting.
back at you.
Yeah, it's
Both of
been
you.
so
Thank you
good.
so much. Like I feel very
Yeah.
at home here.
Yeah.
Like this is very
Thank you.
a chill conversation, and just love talking about this
Yeah.
stuff.
Thanks very much for checking into the Digitize Fully Charged Podcast Season 2. If you're still with us, thank you for being with us. If you want to follow us and check out some of our stuff, you can follow us on all the usual places. We're at Digitize Crew on most of the social platforms. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're everywhere at Digitize Crew. We are digitize.com.